is good! Beer is good! It's tough!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of The Beer Chasers. I'm Preston, and today's episode is an open letter from me to you, the Beer Chaser audience. So the last episode we kind of filmed outside here, and I just kind of got some stuff off my chest about a visit to Cycle Brewing, and it kind of made me start thinking about the show in general, just my experience there, and I just wanted to talk about some things that have been on my chest, and I want to get them off and talk to you guys a little about kind of where the direction of the show may or may not be heading, and even whether or not we're going to continue doing the show. So I got a list of a couple things I want to talk about, so let's go ahead and dive into it. So beer chasing. Obviously the show is called The Beer Chasers, and one of the main things of the show we want to do was kind of film ourselves going into these locations and actually finding these rare, hard-to-find beers, you know, and kind of like, hey, we found it, cool, we're finally getting a chance to drink it. And this is 2 years ago when I was kind of just getting into craft beer, and I really didn't realize the scope of how much beer is really out there. And fast forward 2 years, and I've done a little bit of beer chasing, and to be perfectly honest with you, I am done, I am over it. I've kind of come to the realization that you're not going to go and get every beer. We talked a little bit about it during our Sitting with Santa live broadcast about how I'm just really burnt out on it. You got breweries like Cigar City, you know, where you got to take off from work basically at 2 o'clock when they post on Facebook that a beer's there to hurry up and get down to the brewery, do the hour drive in my case, and hopefully you get there in time, you know, or you got to wait in a line, or trying to find it out in distribution, you know. The Marshall Zukov they release, I mean, I was going between 3 and 4 stores every day on the way home from work, checking in, seeing if they got it in. Some places had it, but it wasn't on the shelf yet, telling you to come back, and, you know, that's hard to do when you've got a job and, you know, you're trying to do the normal life thing. So over the last year, the beer chasing aspect, I've really just gotten burnt out on it, and really, I'm over it, you know. It's just not something I'm into, and not really going to continue doing that anymore. There's a couple beers I'd love to get, West Plateau 12, and a couple other ones, but overall, I'm kind of done with beer chasing, to be honest. And if that's the name of the show, though, kind of where does that leave us, you know? So that's got me thinking about a couple things. Second thing I want to talk about is, you know, co-hosts. So we started the show, it was always meant to be me and somebody else. There's 1,000,001 people out there pointing a webcam at themselves reviewing beers. I did not want to be that guy. I always wanted to have a second co-host who was kind of more of an expert, and I wanted to kind of give you, in my journey of learning about craft beer, kind of the average Joe, and have kind of an expert who could break it down a little further for, I don't want to call them beer geeks, but, you know, the beer geeks, you know, guys who want to hear about the IBUs and the SRM. So that was always the balance of our show, was I would kind of be the Joe, we would have a pro, and between the two of us, you know, you'd probably reach wider audiences. There's people who are like, you know, I kind of like sweet beers like Preston, so anytime he says he likes a beer, you know, I would like it. Or the beer geek, you know, could talk about all that stuff, the SRM and IBUs, and, you know, kind of appeal to that audience. Well, I've had a really hard time finding a co-host over here. It's just, you know, everybody works. You know, it's not that I don't have any friends over here, but, you know, being an adult and moving back kind of home, you know, everybody's busy. Everybody's got lives. Everybody's got kids. And it's just been really difficult. You know, I've hooked up with Chalmers for an episode, and that's just not going to work moving forward. I don't want to open that can of worms. It's just we tried to film a couple times, and there's just some differences of opinions. It's kind of what you can and can't do for an episode, and that just wasn't going to work. I reached out to a couple people, but again, just getting the schedules to line up, you know, to film and go out and do these things, it's been very difficult. So that being said, I filmed a couple episodes by myself. I don't like doing beer reviews by myself, and it's not that I don't feel confident with most styles of beer to be able to go through it. It's just I like having that second opinion. So, you know, it's been weighing on me a little bit, like, do I want to keep doing these single beer reviews by myself? Because I always said from day one, I don't want to be that guy. There's 1,000,000 of those out on YouTube. It's not adding anything fresh or new. So really, do I want to do that? Third thing is the breweries over here. So when I moved to this area, I heard about all these awesome, great breweries. And, you know, I've been to a couple of them. There's some great ones. There's also some bad ones. And the problem I've been having is I'm not getting any responses from a lot of these people. So I've stopped in at Dunedin Brewery. I've left a business card. I've called. I've emailed saying, hey, we'd love to come in and film. Here's our show. Check us out. You know, give us a call. Let us know what you think. Crickets. I've stopped in at Seventh Son and called them and basically was told, thanks, but no thanks. We don't want you coming in here filming. You know, Cycle Brewing, we talked about the last episode, you know, I really got a vibe that I really didn't want to go in there. I checked out Green Bench in St. Pete, and I really wasn't a fan of the beers. And I've learned my lesson from filming at Paradise Brewing. When we filmed there, you know, I'll get into a little bit of dirty laundry here, I guess. they were not happy with the episode. When I sent it off to them saying, hey, the episode's about to go live, hope you guys enjoy it, thanks so much for letting us come out, they were not happy. They felt that we crapped all over their brewery and their beers, which really wasn't the case. I rated most things at 3 or a little above. I think in one category I gave them a 2.5 on one thing. But Rob, he pretty much gave 4s across the board for everything, which is above average. They told me basically, you're not qualified to be doing beer reviews. You shouldn't be doing them. You don't know what you're talking about. How dare you come in here and crap all over us when we invited you in, So I learned a lesson from that, basically moving forward, that I'm not going to do beer reviews at a brewery, first off. That is kind of rude, I guess, to be invited into somebody's house and, start pointing out flaws. But, if I don't have nice things to say, don't say anything at all, the old expression. So when I went to Green Bench, I'm not saying they were terrible beers, just they weren't beers that I liked. Everything was kind of hoppy. The brown ale was over hop that I had, and a couple other beers. Everything was very hop forward. And again, I know that's pretty popular right now. Americans love their hops, but not for me. The location was great. I thought it was nice and bright. Everything was very, people were very friendly there, much different than the cycle experience I had. But I wasn't a fan of the beer, so I'm not going to go in there and make that mistake again. So, I'm having a hard time getting into breweries over here. So if I'm not doing beer chasing, I'm not doing brewery reviews, really where does that leave us? So, I can do some homebrewing stuff, which brings me to my next point. The homebrewing stuff has been pretty good for us. Like the How to Brew a S'more Stout episode we did, that's got over 500 hits in a month, When some of our other videos, like just regular tasting videos, I've had some get 9 or 10 hits in a month, and trickle to 25 hits over the course of 6 months. And, that can be really discouraging when you're doing a show. It's like this weird ebb and flow where you have episodes that get 500 hits, and then you have an episode that gets 7 hits. And then the next one gets 30. Then the next one is 10, 15, 30, 7. So our hits really aren't there sometimes, And if I'm going to do just home brewing, which kind of gets us successful hits, it gets us some of the collaboration and feedback we've been looking for. Because, at the end of the day, we want to just communicate. Like, being beer geeks, we like to talk about beer. And if, we're not really getting hits, and we're not really getting feedback or any kind of communication either, do you continue doing the beer review stuff? So, if we're not doing beer reviews, I'm not doing beer chasing, I'm not doing brewery tours, that pretty much leaves home brewing. But do I keep the name TheBeerChasers when all I'm doing is home brewing? Like I said, it's a really confusing time for me right now. The transition, just moving over to this area, not being able to find a co-host. We're not really getting the hits. I'm not beer chasing. I can't get in the breweries. So, it just got me thinking. I'm just not quite sure where we're headed right now. So, just to put it out there, I always said I'm going to do 50 episodes. The goal was to do 50 episodes, and by the 50th episode, if we were averaging at least 50 views within a month of the episode's release, or if we had like a decent amount of communication and collaboration back and forth between the audience, we would consider that a success. And right now, for the most part, we're not hitting that. So all those things combined, it just has me thinking. I'm just not quite sure where we're going. I have some footage already filmed from the past. Generally when I do film, I film 2 or 3 episodes of the content at one time, just because I might as well try to knock as much out as I can. That way I can have some content. So we have probably another 4 or 5 episodes of stuff already filmed. So that's going to get us through episode 45 or so. The DeLand Craft Beer Festival is coming up, so I'm going to be in Orlando, doing some filming probably with Nate, Mike, and Will. Doing some filming at the DeLand Craft Beer Festival. So that gets us closer to 50. But once we get to 50, I'm not really sure where we're going to go, to be honest. And just want to put that out there and kind of be honest with you guys. It's always, what I try to do. So with that being said, I'm not begging for views or anything like that, but really what I'd like to see is just some feedback. Give us some comments, send us an email if you want to, if you don't want to do it publicly. You can do it on Facebook, you can do it on YouTube, you can hit us up on Twitter. We have email, so I'd just like to hear what you guys think. If there's something we could be doing better, if there's some certain types of content you enjoy seeing, let us know. I mean, if we suck, let us know. Without the feedback, you really don't know where you're at. So, that's really it. Like I said, just wanted to kind of get that in the open and talk about it a little bit. I think that's going to wrap up the episode, though. I think I hit everything I wanted to talk about. So tune in next time. Like I said, we're going to have some sort of beer review. I've got a couple filmed, just not sure which one I'm going to go with. But there will be some content coming forward. And like I said, would love to hear what you guys think, And do want to say thanks. We do have some great loyal audience members out there. I want to say Matt Gillespie, for sure. I know he hits up just about every episode. My mom, thank you, Mom. She watches every episode. our friends over at the Beer Bros, Burnt Brian, I know for sure. Kilroy, one of the users on YouTube, has been a frequent commenter. So, I know we do have some audience members and who would probably be sad if we stopped doing episodes. And that, isn't a good feeling, because I do like the fact that people look forward to these things. It's just, with all the time and everything else we talked about, it's just, what's the return on the investment, and, do we move forward? So anyways, I'm going to stop talking, going to wrap it up. This is the Beer Chasers. I'm Preston. We'll see you later.
Beer is good, beer is good, beer is good, and stop. Beer is good, beer is good, beer is good. Let's go drink some beer.